Some pharaohs ruled with power, etching their names into stone for eternity. Others vanished from history, becoming whispers in the desert sands. In the long story of ancient Egypt, one name appears, then disappears, leaving behind a puzzle that has mystified historians for generations. Who was Weneg? And why was he erased? This is the story of a phantom king, a ruler caught in the shadows of a divided land, whose brief appearance in the records only deepens the mystery of one of Egypt's most turbulent eras. Join us as we journey back to the dawn of the pharaohs to uncover the truth behind the forgotten king. The end of Egypt's first dynasty was not a gentle transition. It was a period of fragmentation and uncertainty. The unified kingdom, forged by legendary rulers like Narmer and Den, began to show cracks. Power struggles between Upper and Lower Egypt, the two lands that formed the kingdom, reignited old tensions. It was a time of political instability, where the central authority of the pharaoh was tested, and the very future of the nation hung in the balance. It is within this chaotic backdrop that the enigmatic figure of Weneg emerges, but he doesn't appear in grand monuments or royal annals. Instead, his name is found delicately carved into a handful of stone vessel fragments. Discovered in the underground galleries of the Step Pyramid at Saqqara, these inscriptions are our only direct proof of his existence. Historians are still unsure whether Weneg and another shadowy king, Senedj, were the same ruler or two separate individuals. This ambiguity places Weneg at the heart of a historical detective story. A king known only by a single hieroglyph, a stylized papyrus plant, that represents his name and his mystery. So, what archaeological evidence do we actually have for Weneg? The primary proof comes from those calcite and schist vessel fragments. At least a dozen of these pieces bear his unique name. The context in which they were found is crucial. They were located beneath the Step Pyramid of King Djoser of the Third Dynasty, suggesting they were artifacts from an earlier period that were gathered and preserved. The inscriptions are simple, often just showing the king's name within a sarek, the rectangular frame that symbolized the royal palace and identified a ruler. Beyond these vessels, the trail goes cold. There are no confirmed statues, no stelae detailing his victories, and most importantly, no tomb. The final resting place of a pharaoh was the cornerstone of their eternal legacy, and for Weneg, this ultimate monument is completely missing. The inscriptions suggest he held an administrative role, possibly overseeing royal estates or foundations. His name, Weneg, is associated with the deity of the same name, a god who represented order over chaos. This could hint at his royal mission to restore balance to a fractured Egypt, but without more evidence, this remains speculation. Much of Weneg's reign remains unknown. The limited evidence points to a ruler who held power, but whose influence was either short-lived or deliberately erased by his successors. This brings us to the core mystery. Why is a king, whose name was important enough to be inscribed on royal vessels, missing from later official king lists like the Bedouin King List and the Turin Canon? These records were the official history of Egypt, meticulously compiled to show an unbroken line of succession from the gods to the current pharaoh. A missing name is not just an oversight, it's often a sign of a political problem. One prevailing theory is that Weneg ruled during a time of intense division. It's possible he was a king who only controlled a part of Egypt, perhaps just the north, while a rival dynasty ruled the south. This would explain why later pharaohs, who reunited the country, might have chosen to omit him from the official record, effectively erasing a period of disunity. The religious tension between Upper and Lower Egypt, symbolized by the gods Horus and Seth, was at a peak during the Second Dynasty. Some kings from this era even adopted a Seth name instead of the traditional Horus name. A radical break from tradition. Weneg's reign might have fallen right in the middle of this ideological conflict. Did his allegiance to one faction lead to his eventual damnation by the other? The connection to Senedj offers another path. Later records from the Ramesside era mention a king Senedj, whose name is written in a different way but is often equated with Weneg by Egyptologists. The theory goes that Weneg was the king's personal name, while Senedj was a later form used in the lists. If they were the same person, it means he wasn't entirely forgotten, just remembered under a different identity. But this connection is not proven, leaving us with more questions than answers. What his disappearance tells us is that the early dynastic period was far from the stable, monolithic kingdom we often imagine. It was a time of chaos, of competing claims to the throne, where history itself was a weapon, and being forgotten was a very real political fate. Was Weneg a forgotten pharaoh, a minor ruler whose legacy simply faded with time? Or was he a ruler history chose to hide, a casualty of a civil war whose memory was intentionally suppressed to create the illusion of a flawless, unified past? The fragments he left behind are like pieces of a puzzle with most of the parts missing. They confirm his existence but conceal his story. He remains a phantom of the Second Dynasty, a king defined not by his deeds, but by his absence. His story is a powerful reminder that history is not just about what is remembered, but also about what is lost, and why. The sands of Saqqara may yet hold the key to this ancient mystery, but for now, Weneg remains Egypt's ghost king. The story of ancient Egypt is full of such mysteries, waiting to be explored. Subscribe to continue the journey with us.